Well, Larry Goldberg in the green room, we were contemplating possible opening musical numbers that we might have done today. And my suggestion was it would be, what a difference a day makes. And you had a different suggestion. What was
Also sprach Zarathustra. I wanted the huge clash and the bang and the. I mean, what a quarter! Oh my God, it reminded me so of. I don't know if you were around it. I'm sure you were. The first quarter of 29, sorry, the last quarter of 2018 in early January 2019. Everybody expected they would do okay, and all
Yes.
everybody was down on Tesla, and they were under, they were marking it down, and they were saying, oh, it's going to be a loss, and it was like a beat through the roof. And I remember sitting there looking at these numbers. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't. Well, that's exactly how I felt this time.
Yeah,
I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was very hard to take in because
Yeah.
everybody had missed by such a lot. And when I say everybody, I mean I didn't see anybody this close.
But I missed by the most.
Oh, you missed by the most.
I think I missed by the most. I would have to, well, probably not missed as far as Gordon Johnson missed, but I think he probably had like 20 cents, but
that means they're going to be calling you to go on CNBC now.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, they had me on what was it? They had me on one of those programs.
Yes, right. I remember.
They weren't that pleased with what I had to say. So, but anyway, bottom line is, it was like a perfect quarter. Now, it wasn't, if you actually drill into the numbers, there's a whole lot more that's going to come.
Yeah.
So, for example, energy, so energy fluctuates up and down and up and down. And for a lot of really good reasons, it's going to fluctuate up very significantly in this quarter. Quite a lot of reasons, actually, but never mind. So energy revenue is going to, be through the roof. I think we're going to see, we could see a $4 billion quarter without any question in my mind. And that would be,
$4 billion quarter. So you're looking over $1. You're thinking $1.33.
It's possible.
Wow. Okay. So AJ,
that's 4 billion of revenue. Yeah.
Of revenue on energy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So on revenue, you're looking at 4 billion. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely.
Energy,
revenue.
4 billion. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm glad we straightened that out because I don't think we're going to have 4 billion in earnings. That'd be great. No. I'd love it. So yeah, it should be a great quarter for energy. And then going forward, I sent you over, as long as we're talking about energy, I sent you over my analysis.
Mm-hmm. And I thought you were light.
You thought it was light on this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got one Megapack, average price is $1 million.
That's right.
That's okay. All right. Then we've got 10,000 per year just out of Lathrop.
Right.
So $10 billion in revenue. So the annual revenue would be $10 billion. So then 30% margin. That's what they got this time. They said they may not always be able to do that, but
yeah, I'll get back to that question. Okay. Keep going on your analysis.
So that would be $3 billion in gross profit for the year just from Lathrop.
Mm-hmm.
Then Elon says we're going to get to 100 gigawatts out of those two locations. He doesn't give us a date, but he says we're going to get to 100 gigawatt hours just from Lathrop and Shanghai.
Right.
So that would be a $7.5 billion profit if we have the same pricing and margins, which could change.
All right.
Then Elon says we're talking about 3 terawatts eventually. Again, no date specified. That would be 225 billion if the prices and the margins hold. Now, my guess is that scale and time will eat away at both the retail, what do you want to call it, the selling price, as well as the margin.
Line. And then the bottom line would go down accordingly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you had any issues with my numbers, you said? Yeah. You thought it was light?
Well, we are consistently earning above that number per gigawatt hour. And the reason we are is because Tesla adds value on top of the the base unit, the actual Megapack. They add value through installation services, but also through software
Right.
and management services. So that is very significant. And then there is a significant amount of revenue being earned right now in outside of Megapacks in the household type of installations.
The power walls.
For example, the power walls, but also there's the chargers and so on and so forth. So if you look at energy, generally they're running at about $320 per megawatt hour. So it's quite a bit more than the number you're looking at. So because right now, if you look at just the price of the Megapack, it's $1 million. So you think it's like $250 per megawatt hour. No, it's actually closer to 300. And we've done 300. I was looking at the number, $320 in Q1. We did Q2, 344 in Q3. So there's a good 15% more than you're calculating. So, I think you're formidably, and for once, very conservative.
Yeah, so I didn't have the Megapacks in that, of course. I'm sorry, the power walls in that.
Right.
I definitely specifically said the Megapack. But yes, I understand there is all this additional revenue on top, which could add substantially.
Yeah, and the reason I threw the Powerwall in there is because I don't know how much the added value component is and how much the Powerwall pricing is there.
Right.
So
Right.
it's very difficult to parse that out.
Yeah.
But we're definitely earning above the raw value of just the Megapack and its pricing.
Exactly. Well, Larry, I wanted to have you answer the same question as all of my other guests and my co-hosts over the last couple of days. And the first one of those is, what accounted for the miss? So you just said you missed by the most. You must have gone back and looked at it and go, oh, now I see.
Well, I would say that by far the biggest part of the miss is not realizing the impact of the swing on the Cybertruck profitability. It's huge.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the forecast, I was looking at the Cybertruck going down somewhat in price, and I was looking at the loss expanding
Right.
rather than becoming profitable.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest part of my loss. And the other is that I didn't realize that the operating costs would fall quite as much as they did as a result of the reorganization.
Right.
Because I thought last quarter we got a sense of that, and it didn't look like that much money. In fact, I was quite disappointed to see the amount they spent on the reorganization, the amount they saved. It seemed that the game wasn't worth the candle. But actually, I was wrong by a big factor. So those two factors amounted to a lot of money.
So on sometime when we have more time, Larry, you'll have to tell me what the game isn't worth the candle means. I have a feeling that's a South African saying.
It's an English saying, yeah.
The English saying, okay. So the second
It
question.
means that I was wrong by that it's not worth the bet on the anyway. Yeah.
I get it. Okay, so the second question that I asked everybody was, what are the CEOs of the other OEMs talking about in the C-suite Thursday and Friday?
Well, I don't think they're looking at Tesla or thinking about Tesla, I think they're focusing on GM's results. You know,
Okay.
GM headed out of the park.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the auto analysts are looking at the GM results and saying, "Oh my God, we're back," and they're part, they're doing their numbers on GM's future and blah blah blah. They've written off Tesla. The auto analysts have just kind of written off Tesla. I mean,
Well, not the analysts, Larry, not the analysts. I want to know about the C-suite. I want to know what's happening at the OEMs, what's happening at Ford.
I think the OEMs are in the same.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think the OEMs are saying, let's look at GM and see what they're doing.
Okay.
GM seem to be doing something right. They have it. I didn't I didn't think the CEOs, the C-suite of the auto industry have yet in the Western world have yet tumbled to the reality of the fix they're in. I just don't think so.
So the reason I asked the question was because, of course, Elon opened up the call very differently this time and spent the first 20 minutes talking about the future, which I thought was brilliant. Somebody called it a
He
brilliant.
was so on point. Oh my, I talked about that being the critical issue of this call.
Yeah.
Would he turn up the way he did on that the first quarter's call?
Yeah.
And which Elon would turn up? And man, he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it.
So as he was explaining things,
Explaining.
I'm sitting there going to myself, I mean, all of us in the community think that the Fords and the General Motors and the Volkswagens and the Toyotas are going to be in a mess, coming up in future months. I mean, many of them are already in a mess. Volvo's numbers, oh my goodness. And so you're already seeing them in a mess. And as he's talking, my head is exploding. I felt my brain was going to come out of my head, because it was like, what can these guys even think about doing, to be in the game unless they start playing ball with Tesla?
They're honestly not thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they are explaining to themselves how, Tesla has missed the boat on autonomy because they're not using LiDAR. They're explaining to themselves that Tesla's missed the opportunity because they're not considering hybrids. They're explaining to themselves, there is absolutely no recognition of the tank that's coming down down the path towards them. They have no clue at all. And they have justified their position. They point to GM and they say, "Oh, well, look, we're back. We're back." Now, that's not true in Germany. In Germany, they're really worried. I mean, and it varies from company to company, but I heard the guy from Mercedes, before Germany went to the EU to plead for them to, stave off the evil day for a while. And he was saying, we're okay, we've got hybrids and we've got gasoline, we've got diesel, and we've got EVs. We're good to go. We're doing fine in all our businesses. And they may be, who knows? But Volkswagen, which is 80% of the industry, in terms of numbers of cars, they are in dire, dire, dire trouble.
Seems like it. Seems like it. Let's go back to your 300. Did we already talk about that? The fact that yeah, we talked about that you think we could be looking at 300 by the end of the year.
We
Maybe
haven't talked about it, but I did go out on a limb and say
yeah, is
that.
that right? Yeah, we talked about it before the show, but so
Yeah.
yes, you for once, Larry, I was shocked that you've given us a short-term price target.
Yeah. Yeah, I had because, I've been talking for a while about the moment that's coming, and I saw it happening sometime next year. I wasn't ready for it to come this year. And when that moment came, when we saw the move in the financials, I just had this deja vu moment of the first quarter of 2019. Sorry, the last quarter of 2018,
Right, right.
early in 2019. In January, the 15th or 18th, we had this call and we were ready for the fight between the analysts and Elon. We were ready for all the same. I don't know if you remember those days, but
Oh
they
yeah,
were,
it's off to the races. I mean, it was
but we had a very difficult year.
yeah.
And it wasn't apparent that they had turned the corner. We were thinking, oh, well, it's just going to be another tough call. And, people were positioning themselves, they were going short on the stock and so on, stuff like, oh my God. And that call just galvanized the market. I mean, galvanized the market. I don't remember what the stock went up from what to when,
That's right.
but I, my in those days I was in leaps, and those leaps just leapt.
Left. So Larry, you've got this 300 price target. Does that
Yeah.
depend on any additional catalysts, or is that
No.
your number even if we don't get a reveal on the Juniper or the 2.5?
Yeah, I don't think the product reveals are going to count. I think what's going to count is delivering on the 419 or something thousand vehicles to make the
500,
year.
500.
519,000 vehicles for the quarter to make the year. I'm relying upon Elon's,
Right, right.
estimate. And if we hit that 510 to 520,000 mark, there's no doubt in my mind, none at all, that we will be at that 300 mark. And the stock got to 270 before I
I know.
before I blinked. I mean, I was so busy the last couple of days. I've got a whole lot of stuff going on, and I just didn't look. And then I looked, and I couldn't believe it.
Well, and it closed on the high today, Larry. So, we could be
What
looking at
was the close, Randy?
269 and change. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we could be looking at another good day on Monday. I was thinking my theory would be slightly different, that there are a couple of
Well, just be cautious about Monday because
oh no,
today was a lot of short holders scrambling
yeah,
to cover, a lot
yeah.
scrambling to cover. So Monday could see, it ease off a little bit from a technical perspective.
Yeah, of course, I'm not a day trader anymore, so I'm not terribly worried about it. But the getting to 300, it would seem to me, is already baked in. I don't know that we have to do anything to get to 300. It might take,
That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah,
okay,
we don't. I mean, we do have to deliver on Elon's commitment on the 500.
but it might not take until then, is my point. We might be looking at
Oh, I see what you're saying.
300 by
Well,
the 1st of December or something,
you're the perpetual optimist.
Okay, but you just said you didn't think that the reveal on the 2.5 or on the Juniper would juice the stock?
All of that's so expected.
Okay,
It's like it's baked in already.
okay, all right.
Why would it juice the stock? I don't know that they're going to do a reveal before the end of the year, though.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm kind of predicting the Juniper in December and the 2.5 in January. That's kind of my theory on the reveals with shipping starting, 30 days after.
I think the reveal is going to happen at the same time. I think they say this is the Juniper
Oh,
and this is the Juniper Junior.
okay.
That's what I think.
The Juniper Junior. That's nice. I like it. Listen, you
Yeah.
should get that trademark real quick.
Yeah, the new model has to be the same shape as the Juniper, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what we think. Yeah.
Yeah, so
With
why
a
would they not introduce it at the same time? And I think the Mexican Model 3 is it the Model S, which is the Mexican model, the one with the cloth seats? I think that's the Model Y. I think the Mexican Model Y is what we should look upon, what we should look for the lower price Juniper. So the Juniper may come with all the normal Tesla add-ons,
Mhm.
and then the sub $30,000 car could be that Juniper with, some of the fancy stuff removed.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I continue to believe that Elon will want an exterior difference, a clear difference between them. So we'll see. We'll see. Time will
Well,
tell.
you can make a clear difference in the exterior without too much difficulty. When
Yeah.
you're bringing in a new model, you can do that, you know.
Yeah. Okay. You said you've been super busy the last 2 days, but you generally are somebody who grabs that 10Q and immediately goes through it in detail.
I have gone through it in detail, as a matter of fact.
So did you see
Um,
anything there that we should know?
yeah, I'm intending to do a long form analysis on my channel.
Okay.
But the what I mean, there's nothing incredible that comes out of that 10Q. I mean, I've looked at particularly the backlog that's building in the
Honeypot?
energy. The backlog is building very dramatically, and
Oh, the
you,
backlog of existing orders?
yeah, if you look at there's this reserve in that
Oh,
they have to report on orders that are more than a year out, more than a year out. Now, we
right,
don't know what the backlog for the year is. One
right,
assumes it's growing at the same as the backlog for a year out,
right.
but those numbers are looking exceptionally good,
Yeah, yeah,
exceptionally good. And so that's one finding I do have. Um, and let me see if there's anything else. Nothing extraordinary. The warranty, the claims actually did rise a little bit. The claims per vehicle did rise, but the warranty continues to grow
Mhm.
at a very healthy rate. Um,
The warranty reserve, just to be clear, the
well,
warranty.
I'm sorry, warranty reserve, yeah. And anything else? No, I think that's about it. You know, their cash situation is very strong, very,
Right.
very strong. I mean, if you look at their balance sheet, the balance sheet looks like a software company.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like a 2-to-1 cash to current assets to current liabilities,
Right.
practically 2-to-1. I mean, where do you see this in an auto company anywhere in the world? They have, their quick asset ratio is 1-to-1. I mean, they have more cash and in on hand than they have current liabilities. So, I mean, where do you have a manufacturing company that has that level of leverage? Yeah, so amazing. Everything's good. I didn't see one red, yeah, even orange light. I didn't see
Right.
any, oh, amber light, I guess it's called here.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything of any consequence that was, serious.
Here's a few news things coming out today on Tesla. Lors Moravi, I guess he is in the
Lars
cars.
Moravi.
He's in the semi-truck area, I
No,
think.
no, no.
I'm sorry.
Lars is is the guy at the top of all engineering. So
All
he's
engineering. Okay,
he's
okay.
probably the most senior VP outside. Yeah, probably the most senior VP right
Oh,
now.
okay. All right. I get
So
the.
yeah, go ahead.
So he was asked if Tesla and their customers, semi-customers, are already building out charging stations for semi, and his
Yeah.
response was absolutely.
Oh yeah, I could have told you that. You didn't need to go to Lars for that.
So, so it made me think back about everything that Tesla has ever done from the
Yeah.
very beginning, that they are silently, quietly out there building all the infrastructure
Yes.
necessary to take
Yes.
care of this business when it happens. So,
Yes.
because this was asked a lot the last few days, I've had a lot of questions about that from YouTube, from X, people asking, well, is there, you know, how can they put the 40,000 semis out there next year in 2026 without the infrastructure? So apparently,
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be
there.
40,000 in 2026, but you and I can have a discussion about that on a future program. But they are laying a lot of groundwork. So they're putting in these superchargers in clients' operations. And so some of the clients that they're signing up now are doing that, but they're also planning and implementing superchargers and, I don't know what they're going to call those, gigachargers.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, they
Yeah.
may have said, but I don't remember. Yeah. Semi-chargers. I don't know. Okay. Then Fortune magazine, which I rarely quote, wonders aloud whether Tesla had a duty to add Elon's politicking as a material risk in the 10Q.
Interesting conversation, but who cares?
I know. I had to bring it up. It was funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Have some
But I've heard suggestions like that on X actually. Many people saying, this is accusing Tesla of fraud for not doing that disclosure.
Right. Yes, well, one of the people who they asked said it is even rare for companies to show a single employee as a material risk. In the case of Elon Musk, one might do that. But then to actually go further and say this aspect of who they are, that's never, they couldn't remember a single case where that had ever been done. Then I really messed up, Larry, because I've stopped reading Electrek. But I messed up. The headline got me. I didn't realize it was Electrek. And so I did read this. They were complaining that Tesla increased the profits by 90% year over year on services and other.
Isn't that terrible?
It's just horrible. And he was claiming that Elon doesn't want to make money on services and other because
Why?
well, because the regular OEMs make so much money on services, and Elon said he didn't want to make money on charging stations, and I'm like, well, first of all, Elon said he wants to make 10% on charging stations, and he probably would be happy and okay if he made more. And I'm not sure that he ever said no to making money on services. Just he didn't want that to.
On the contrary, if you go back to the calls, if you listen to the calls, you'll hear them say these services are going to continue to rise, the increase of the fleet, and the margins are going to continue to rise. I mean, there isn't a quarter in the last, I'd have to say 10 quarters, maybe more, where there hasn't been a consistent rise. Sorry, there's one quarter where it went down just for that quarter, and I don't remember the exact reason. There was some external event, but otherwise, there's been this consistent rise from a big loss, like a 10% loss. I have a chart. I've actually shown the chart on your show. It's gone from a negative to a positive, small positive, and that small positive constantly rising, and it's now getting to the 5% and to the meaningful mark. It's going to rise to the 10 to 12% easily, no doubt about it.
Okay. And then switching off of Tesla, Jeremy Siegel, my favorite, says that the Fed will slow down or pause the rate decreases, cuts, if the jobs numbers next week are super strong. And whatever the Fed does, the yields aren't going to retreat anyway if those jobs numbers come in strong next week. So
the job numbers will come in strong. Whatever happens to whatever the real numbers are, they're going to come in strong. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen this evidence year after year after year I mean, quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. Why should it change now?
Yeah.
The question is, what is the adjustment going to be?
Right, exactly. And this time there probably will be a positive adjustment, just this once.
Yeah.
4 days before the election.
Yeah. Just coincidentally.
Right. So he's suggesting, so I'm beginning, Larry, to get a little bit of my nerves are getting a little frayed about my continuing harping that the economy is already in recession or going in. I think I'm past that now. I don't care anymore. If it was in recession starting in June, okay. But going into the post-election period, I don't think we're going to go into recession at that point. So given that is only a week 10 days away, I'm now going to change my tune, and I'm going to start analyzing the overall economy in terms of the directionality positively. Siegel thinks it's going to come in between 2.5 and 3% GDP on the third quarter. That was what he said today. Comes in at 2.5 to 3%, and the job number's strong. I don't think the Fed can continue to cut rates.
I think that they adjusted when they finally come to adjust the GDP. I think they adjusted down by more than a factor of almost a half
From the second quarter or third quarter?
from this quarter that they're spewing off these 2.5, 3.5%, 2.5 to 3.5%.
Yeah, I'd be more likely to say that the second quarter that they'll cut that by half or more. I feel like that was the low point.
And this quarter, this is my contention. I think we've been misconstruing labor numbers quite dramatically.
Right.
I think the biggest issue that we have now is just and by the way, the labor numbers. Well, we'll get back to the type of work that's being done, but at the end of the day, I think we have been in recession. It's possible that we're going to come out of recession, but I don't see strong growth absent some massive impact from AI in the coming year.
Only thing, Larry, is that there's at some point people have to buy that refrigerator. You just can't go forever on all of these major purchases because it's broken now. It's not a matter of I want to change the color. It's broken now, and you need to.
Well, I haven't seen that happen yet.
No, I know. I'm just saying it, but we've never seen and I watch this very carefully because bicycles, are that kind of commodity. I've never seen 3 years of recession.
No.
It's
very difficult to have 3 years of recession. I agree.
Right, because at some point you got to go buy that thing. It's no longer current. It's no longer working. You have to replace it, or you have to buy new. If you've just learned that you like that thing or whatever it is. So yeah. I have to believe that we'll see some increase, a decent increase in manufacturing in the coming 12 months. And that will start to power this new wave of prosperity. And then if it's Trump, of course, we have a different opinion about how great it's going to be.
Yeah, I think getting out of this recession is going to be hard. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be an explosion of activity. I honestly don't. I think it's going to be hard for it. I'm so worried about government expenditures. I just think it's absolutely crowding out. Typically the kind of productivity improvement from something like AI takes 3 to 5 years to happen. And we could go through a very, very rough period for the next 3 years before that happens.
I am noticing a change of headlines. I just reported on this 2 days ago. I am seeing more and more and more people. I think they've already decided that Trump has the election. And I'm talking about the press. I'm talking about, the regular press that they're looking past the election now. And they're no longer talking about the near-term issues that we're faced with. Lots and lots and lots of articles about the deficit and about Social Security 2033. And these articles were not appearing 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And now it's like somebody's got to do something about the deficit. Somebody's got to talk about what to do about Social Security before 2033. And I think that is because there's a shift now looking past the election to these two major issues that are going to absolutely, as you point out, impact the future. And it's not going to take till 2033 for it to have that impact.
Yeah. Maybe I don't read enough of the press to see that. I think that everybody's still bound up in this election cycle. Look, you may be right. for the cognoscenti, for the press, the people who work in the press offices, the few of them that do that work, life is not bad. It's not tough, Life is pretty good for them. But the working class people who actually work, who do a job, it's pretty darn rough.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that a lot, and that
Yeah.
might be one of the first things that Trump really has to identify and deal with, assuming, of course, that you and I are right about who's going to win. Last thing on the list, Larry, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it or not. I've spent a lot of time on my first show this morning talking about it. Do you have any opinion or thoughts with regard to Elon Musk in the last 11 days of the election cycle, in the silly time, as they call it, being accused of talking to Putin about national security issues involving Taiwan? Any thoughts about the Russia gate for Elon?
No, no thoughts at all. I mean, I'd be surprised if it's true, but if it's true, I'd be interested to hear what Elon has to say about it. I'm not I remind you that when our great President Obama was running for re-election, he made a mockery of his opponent who said Russia was our
Right.
was our enemy, and it was our principal enemy or principal whatever he called it. And he said, "Hello, this is 1982 calling." I mean, these things are so crazy. Now, look, I do regard Putin as a dictator of the worst kind. But he has to. He runs Russia. He runs Russia, and so you have to give that some weight. So if Elon spoke to him, I'd be very interested to hear the conversation. I know that Elon doesn't sell Starlink to Russia. I know that he has been an opponent of the Russian space program because of the people who run it. And so I can't see him committing any kind of treason against the United States. I think he's one of the most principled Americans there is. So, I take it all with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, one of my comments is that it's hard for me to believe that anybody was privy to that conversation in such detail and then would leak it. So you have to have two. You have to have both. You have to have how many people would be privy to that conversation. And then if there was a handful of people or three or two or one, and one of those individuals that would be privy would leak it, man, that's a pretty, and they're saying they have three people who have confirmed the conversation. So unless it's a nothing burger, how do you get those three people to completely betray?
Well, they say, but
They
51,
say,
51
yes,
intelligence chiefs said. So, this is kind of, when the story comes out, when the true story comes out,
right.
and so on and so forth, it'll be another situation like that. You just cannot believe these people at all.
Especially
And
during the silly season.
absolutely right. Yeah. So, anyway.
All right, Larry, let's take a quick look at
Yeah.
what happened on the market today, and then we'll enjoy our weekend. So the Dow tumbled 259, call it 260 points today, while the Nasdaq was going the other way, up
Yeah.
103, and the S&P kind of took the middle ground, down 1.74. And Tesla up, as we said, $8.71. All of the Mag 7 were up, and almost all the Cathie Woods. Couple of exceptions, but most of them were up. The Dow is down, had a really rough week. People are saying, a couple of the headlines I saw, Larry, were that the the techies are getting all the money again. The tech stocks are getting all the money again, especially going into earnings week next week. So would that be enough to explain to you why the Dow would be down as a rotation back into tech to take advantage of earnings reports coming next week?
Well, the Dow had a very good run. You know,
Yes.
and very often when these indexes do run, then they have to take a breather. There has to be consolidation. So maybe it's just the normal, consolidation that it's taking. Look, high interest rates really impact the Dow very hard, much harder than they impact tech.
Right.
So I think that may be what's happening. That's about all I, can think of.
Well, and then let's talk about those interest rates. So,
Yeah.
shockingly, the treasuries went up. They must have listened to Siegel. The treasuries are up 0.4. The 10-year was up 0.4%. I'm sorry, no, 4 basis points today. That was matched by the 2-year up 4.1, the 3-month up 2.4, and the 2-month up 1.6. So you and I have talked about this before. I think you agree with me. I can't remember. These interest rates are normal.
Yeah.
And
they wouldn't have opened eyes before Zip.
not a chance. And so we might be coming into a new normal, and people will just adjust. They just do. That's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. What are mortgage bond rates now?
Almost back to 7, but that's still between
It's
6 and 7.
It's not abnormal.
It's normal. Absolutely normal. Yes. Okay. And then we've got oil going back up again, but it's been back and forth, back and forth. Texas Intermediate ended up at 71.69, Brent at 75.89, and natural gas at $2.52. So those all three are
Look, there were years we would have celebrated $75 Brent,
That's right. That's right. And I think it's fine now. I'm
Yes.
really happy.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Now, natural gas going into the winter, I'd rather have my gas bill be lower than higher, but I'm not playing the market. Gold up 11.90.
Well, we must have hit an all-time high again.
I think so. I'll check it right here. Let's see here. Oops, I checked it incorrectly.
I think either yesterday or today must have been an all-time high.
See, 27.60 is now the all-time high.
There you go. Yeah.
Closing on the all-time high, 27.60 and 89 cents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Meantime, silver, having a little hard time getting past 34, sitting at 33.88. But as we talked about, I don't know if you were on, I finally went back and looked, Larry, the all-time high is now only $4 away.
Wow. So but of course that was a different dollar.
Yeah, well, not only a different dollar, but it was also a gaming of the system that got us.
Yeah. It was, the guy got trapped in a short squeeze.
Right. Exactly.
Terrible short squeeze. The Hunt brothers got trapped.
Right.
Yeah. So that number really is just out of left. But this is a real number.
And we're only $4 away from that number. Copper up a little bit, but $4.37. It's kind of
all around this. Yeah.
Been where it's been. The dollar is continuing to advance. It's staying up there pretty good. And I was talking about the other day, I keep going back, Larry, to my theory about the aging of the population and all the wealth that's getting accumulated into the over 55 group. Because how do you get gold at all-time highs, the dollar high? You've got the equities at all-time highs. You've got even though the bonds are beaten down a little bit, they're still, doing. I mean, there has to be enough money to do all of that. And
there's $8 trillion sitting on the sidelines.
And $8 trillion sitting on the sideline. I just think it's old people with lots of money.
We got to get rid of those old people.
And then we've got no pre-market. Okay, yeah, it's Friday, so there's no pre-market to talk about. So, well, Larry, we have a nice long weekend did you see the New York Stock Exchange is considering going to being open 22 hours a day?
Really?
Yeah.
God, the kids are playing.
I know. This is crazy. I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know what people will do. How will people adjust to that?
I mean, it's crazy actually when you think about it,
You need time. You need time.
Traders will never sleep. But Robinhood trades during the night, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. But with that kind of volume, you're not usually going to get too,
Your
sideways.
price, yeah, yeah. Well,
And
your price discovery is not going to be that good.
right, right. And I mean, some people do watch Robinhood. I know one of them for, Nicholas Gibbs definitely pays attention to Robinhood overnight. Okay, Larry, I think we've done as much as we're going to damage as we're going to do, unless you have a final thought, a final comment, something that you're passionate about or that's troubling you. Uh,
It's been a great week,
it's
just a
been
great
a
week.
great.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, what a difference a day makes. And I could never pronounce that. Gotta COVID. No, uh, your song.
Also, sprach
Oh no,
Zarathustra.
how's the song? Zarathustra. Yeah, that one I can't pronounce either. I was thinking of a different one. Yes.
Okay.
Never mind.
Well, have a great weekend.
You as well. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.